And we're back, coming in hot from part 1 to continue this complicated but rather interesting DIY project. The initial challenge was to hide this extension wire that powers our fish pond's filtration pump. But the scope kinda crept a bit farther since I also had to do something about this Christmas strobe light that wasn't mounted properly and didn't have its own switch. To make matters worse, I also discovered that the old bulb adapter where everything connects to may be faulty. Yes, part 1 involved a lot of prep work, from disconnecting stuff, to cleaning the work area, to restoring the strobe light, to wiring a switch, then mounting that switch, and to cutting and sticking the first 3 pieces of our PVC molding, which will serve as our wiring cover. So are you ready to jump back in? Oh, hang on a sec. This is a sequel to part 1, so a lot of stuff here will be referencing that video. If you got here from part 1, then you're all set. Otherwise, I really encourage you to watch part 1 first. I put a link in the description below. You good? Okay, let's go. Hey there, this is HanDIYman 007, and if we're just meeting for the first time, hello! And my passion is building, fixing, and improving all sorts of stuff at home for my family, and sharing with you what I have learned from experience and from others. So right after sticking the first 3 pieces of PVC molding below, we now like to stick this 4th and longest piece, which we will position about 2 inches to the right of our light switch. The idea is to create an offset between this piece and the switch. Otherwise, it will be hard for us to insert the switch wires later on. After ensuring that it is straight and aligns with the bottom pieces, we tap all across to press the adhesive more firmly to the wall. Tap with your fingers back and forth to ensure everything is even, especially with textured walls like this. And this is how they should all line up. What's great about PVC moldings is that they are easy to paint over, usually with a color matching the surface where they are on. But that's for another video. Because we first have to do something about our faulty light bulb adapter, which is causing our light bulb to flicker. To save on time, I just decided to buy a replacement from HanDIYman. And no, I am in no way sponsored by them. So out with the old and in with the new. Also, remember in part 1 where I explained why the adapter's short chain is an issue? Well, we solve it now by connecting this long chain that was a leftover from a ceiling fan installation I did a few weeks back. With 2 pairs of pliers, I simply bent the last link open, hooked the chains together, and bent them back close. Before moving forward, I also want to test both the old bulb and the receptacle to make sure that nothing else is faulty. And as I can see, they are both performing just fine. Okay, so let's remove the bulb. Insert the adapter in a clockwise direction. Then reinsert the bulb. Then let's do one final test. Perfect. Now let's stick this 5th and final PVC molding onto the support beam. In retrospect, I should have mounted it at the back of the support beam to hide it better. Oh well, it's no big deal once I paint it over, probably in another video. By the way, if you're curious what I used as a handle for the adapter chain, I used this, a meat hook. But because it's a bit too thick for the chain, I used a zip tie to join them together. You wouldn't have noticed if I haven't told you, right? Now, let's stick on our extension outlet right below this PVC molding. Good. Now let's go back to our Christmas strobe light. I have to cut its power cord here so I can connect 2 wires later. One reaching the bulb adapter and the other reaching the light switch that we installed back in part 1. Okay, let's bring it down again. So I make a cut right here. Bringing out our wiring diagram from part 1, we have already installed our light switch, so that already has a green thumbs up. We now turn our attention to wire C, where we prep our plug. So after cutting off the power plug, we have 2 wires inside that we need to expose and strip. Then we add this new wire to either one of these two. Keep in mind that all we're doing here is extending the length of the power cable. We twist them tightly together, making sure we have a snug connection. Then we wrap the exposed wires with electrical tape. What I also like to do is press the tape with the long nose pliers to flatten and bind it more on the wires. Later, I will connect this back to the strobe light. Now let's do the prep work for wire B at the strobe light side. Likewise, we expose the two wires from within the main insulation and strip them. Off camera, I will also add a new extended wire to one of these. No need for you to watch it since it's exactly the same procedure as the power plug. All we're doing is extending the length of the wire. So let's go ahead and mount the strobe back and flip the long wire over to the light switch area. Now let's strip the switch wire and grab the wire that we just flipped and twist the two together. Of course, let's wrap with electrical tape, making sure that there is absolutely no exposed wire left uncovered. Let's quickly press with pliers and we're done. Back to our diagram, we have now completed mounting the strobe light and connecting it to the switch with wire B. Next, we focus on wire C. Let's prep the wire on the switch side. Now just a quick review where we are so far. From the strobe light we have mounted, we have cut its power cable and exposed the two wires inside. At this crossroad, one wire we have extended and connected back to the strobe's original plug. Again, all we did here was make the wire long enough to reach the bulb adapter where we will plug in later. This other wire leads down where we have connected it to the light switch below. So with that, we are done connecting wire C, and the last step is connecting the switch and the second wire of the plug with wire A. To this wire, I'm going to connect a new wire long enough to slither up this beam and all the way to the strobe light plug. And what I am holding here is the wire I have connected to the switch below off camera. Right now, I'm just stretching it across and measuring where I should cut it. Ideally, it should be the same length as the other wire already connected to the plug. Good. So we make the cut, then we strip it, then we also strip the second wire of the plug. And twist together the two. As always, we wrap around electrical tape, making sure everything is covered. And finally, to complete our wiring circuit, we plug in to the adapter's outlet. And just to check our wiring diagram one last time, yep, wire A connected and plug to bulb adapter done. Let's do a quick test before we move on to the next phase. Okay, that's enough, it works. I don't want to show you too much because I'm saving the light show for later when it's dark. I did promise in part 1, I'll give you Christmas in June at the end, right? So now let's turn our attention to the extension outlet for our Fishpond's filtration pump. I need to disconnect it now, but since we've stuck the PVC moldings way early in the game, I am confident that the adhesive we used in part 1 has fully cured, and I need not worry about the moldings falling off. This step is pretty much straightforward. Remove the PVC cover, slide in the cable, and replace the cover. The only thing we have to make sure of is that the covers are firmly hugging the molding grooves on the side. However, I want to insert the switch wirings in this section. so I have to cut the molding here to create a small gap later. So we saw and sand. Continue lining up the extension cable inside and covering it. This topmost section of the molding is the trickiest part because the goal here is to fit all the wirings inside, the switch wires and the extension cable. Factoring in the size of the small gap I want to leave for the switch wires, I need to cut a PVC molding cover whose length is flushed with the top edge. And here's the outcome. I have inserted the two wires of the switch through that small gap in the molding. I wasn't able to anticipate the thickness of all the wires combined and with two wrapped with electrical tape, and so I had to place one taped wire outside the molding to compensate. For our extension outlet wiring diagram, it is pretty straightforward. We simply need to extend the wire lengths so that its plug reaches the bulb adapter. To do that, we insert wires A and B in between. Just to show you quickly how I managed the wires coming out of the PVC moldings with zip ties. Oh, and here's the extra molding I told you about in part 1, and I used it as a holder for the wires so they don't fall off the sides of the support beam. So here we are on the last leg of our journey, where we have to make this plug reach that bulb adapter over there. We begin by cutting off the plug and setting it aside for now. Then we expose the two wires coming out of the PVC molding. Strip them, twist them, and connect longer wires for each. Then we tape as usual. Then I bind them together with more zip ties. Down here below, I take the cut plug and prep it for connection to those two long red wires we just added. And back here on top, I simply connect the two wires of the plug to these matching two wires, again using the same wire connecting steps we have done throughout this video. Notice also that I have already hidden all the wirings inside the PVC molding. At last, we can now permanently plug in both our Christmas strobe light and filter pump extension outlet. Then we clean up with a couple of zip ties. And with that, our extension outlet circuit is also officially complete. Here's how everything looks like from back here. Yes, fishies, it's done. But there's one last thing to do. Do you want to see how everything comes together? Here we go. I admit that there were things I could have done differently or even better, but I think we have a much better view than before. I'm quite happy how everything turned out. You didn't think I forget my promise to give you a Christmas in June, did you? Here we go. This is HanDIYman 007. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end of this two-part video. And here's wishing you all a Merry Christmas in June.